Hello everyone. We're gonna go live in a bit. So today you'll be seeing these two handsome guys live talking to you about, basically about Saad's life. And let me start off first with a bit of my intro. All right, Brain Dump Thunderstorm motherfucking podcast, episode 3. Today we have a super exciting guest, and my old mentor and my ex-boss Saad Hussain, and that's a cool picture of him when he had his eye surgery. And we'd like to welcome Saad Hussain. Hi Saad, how are you?
Hey Vijay, how are you, man? That's a
I'm
nice
good.
photo of us together.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
There's an
Yeah,
old picture. I found it I dug through. Like a lot of people send me pictures of our team from before as well and stuff like that.
yeah.
I can't show all of them, but yeah, a lot of good memories there, man. So tell me, what's been
I
happening?
look older than.
Now you're younger.
Well, I've been at home with a family and all that. And again, going back to my first love, basic photography.
Oh, that's nice.
I've been trying a lot of stuff, a lot of stupid stuff on my camera and all that. Also, at the same time, also looking at my iPad and trying to figure out about editing and also Photoshop and all that. So I'm doing a bit of illustration. I'm doing a bit of film editing and doing a lot of photography and all that. So I'm just keeping myself busy, trying to learn new skills and all that. So even looking at TikTok and see what are new trends out there, and it's been interesting, right? So I'm
Nice.
just keeping up to speed in terms of whatever's out there, rather than trying to rot myself at home in Singapore. Yeah.
That's cool. I saw a bit of your. I'm gonna play this video, and you've been up
Okay.
to something quite cool at home, being stuck at home when you're talking about photography and stuff like that. Eh? So cool, sir. That's quite cool. Tell us a bit about what you're doing at home, like with all these
I
pictures.
was a bit, I was a bit bored. I'm just testing myself with if I can take, still life. And still life is the most difficult in terms of trying to do a proper lighting and all that. So I thought, okay, like if I use one set of light, my camera and a dark piece of paper, what can I do? So I went around my garden. I went around into my wife's kitchen and all that, took all stuff and all that, and start shooting. So, I just took about 20 minutes to half an hour just to set it up and shoot it and all that, and quickly, edit and actually posted it on Instagram and all that. It's just a exercise that I wanted to do, and it went through 30 days. Of course, on the 20th day, it's like, what am I doing? So, yeah, I ran out of things. I ran out of things to shoot and all that, but I finished it 30 days. Looking at something else also now for the next 30 days. Hopefully, we don't stay at home for the next 30 days also. But
Yeah,
I'm just keeping myself busy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's cool. So tell us, so before we get into your history and advertising and all, right now,
Yeah.
what you're doing, you're the CMO of Pixel. Tell me a bit about Pixel.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm now on the client side. I'm with a startup called Pixel, and they are almost like the Getty for Asian images and all that. So it's like a visual marketplace for, well, we do authentic Asian images and all that. So yeah, it is a marketplace. It is a crowdsourced place where we can have a community to shoot our stuff. We also do a bit of custom commissions and all that. So it's two things. It's startup, which I love, and basically photography. So I'm doing both things that I'm loving, and I'm just doing more on the marketing side with a small team. It's startup, and I think I love the idea that it's startup. It's almost like what Sila is all about, right? When we first start out, it's small. We are against the big boys. We are fighting, being almost like how I call it, underdog and all that. So it's that kind of challenge that all this comes back to me, right?
That's cool. Saad, can you? Okay, now let's get into your whole story. Like, it's quite funny. So you're actually a Singaporean, and we're now in the same country, but you're a Malaysian, I would say, advertising legend. How did that happen? Like, how did you start off here, and how did you come to Malaysia? Like, why Malaysia? Like, from Singapore dollars to Malaysian ringgit. Maybe back then not so bad, lah. But
back then wasn't that. Back then wasn't so bad. I mean, in terms of currency, I think it's my journey in terms of. I mean, I was in Indonesia, Jakarta, trying to help Indonesia outfit. Still, I had a couple of offices in Indonesia, in Hong Kong, in Japan, even Philippines, and of course in Singapore. They have a very, very small office in Malaysia, and we were handling Sony at that time in Singapore. So Sony were handling in Singapore, bits of Indonesia, and also the Philippines. So we were invited for a pitch in Malaysia. So since we did Sony, I did Sony. They sent me up there to basically present. I think it was for a mega TV. Campaign. At that time, it was almost like your Astro of the world, but that was before Astro. And strangely, we won. We won the pitch, so I got stuck in KL to finish the production and all that. But that journey itself was quite fun because I think it was a different. I mean, the clientele and all that. I mean, the atmosphere and all that's very different from Singapore. Working in Singapore versus working in Malaysia. So I sort of got stuck and loving every time I visited Malaysia and all that. So, and strange thing is also we won more and more Sony business at that time. So, and they wanted me to stay because I was like so-called the master for the Sony account and all that. So, so
you were the creative.
Yeah,
you were art or copy?
I was a creative first. I was both. So,
okay.
I started as a visual. Well, I started as a political science arts graduate. Knowing nothing about advertising, knowing nothing about visuals and all that. So, but I love the arts. I went to night school part time, but I quit halfway because I didn't learn anything. So I joined a very small agency and then started learning about art direction and all that, and joined SILAD after 3 years. Then opportunity for me to go up to KL to pitch. I was heading the team. We won, and basically after that we got almost, I would say, 75% of the account, and we were against the big guys like Leo Burnett, the Art Stars of the world, the Wire and Arts of the world, and they looked at us and said, "Who's this guy from SILAD, or who is SILAD?" So that was a beautiful thing. I mean, I think we were looking at ourselves as like I mentioned before, we're like underdogs, we're a small player, and we are out there to basically trying to prove the world, or at least prove the world in Malaysia, right? Yeah.
And let me
so
show.
It's yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show one of this piece of work that you did for Sony, because we were talking about Sony, right? And this one, the X-ray one. Tell us a bit about that.
I think that was in the year 2000. I think it's one of the first few. We were slowly moving from just winning the account to trying to do more creative work. I think the pressures from Leo Burnett and from YNR at that time. And also from the Sony client. I think the Sony client, I think we had the best marketing director at that time. I think Tiong Sing is legendary, and he's basically in Shanghai now. So he has always been encouraging us to do creative work. So this piece is basically something that, I mean, PlayStation has always been a big thing. And I think this was the first piece that we actually entered for an award. We entered for London. I think we had 2 ads that we entered for awards, and both of them, one hit finalists and this one hit gold. At that time, London Awards, like for you to hit a goal was like, wow, you know. And me and my art director, Hao Yong, we flew up to London just to pick this up. I mean, for the first time, we won something, it was quite a nice thing, and yeah. And after that, because of this, I think we said, okay, although we are a small agency, I think we should set aside some budgets for awards. So that's what we did. So we tried to focus ourselves to craft our ads better, put more ideas into it, and yeah, and I mean we got Man to join us after that. I think Man joined us. Yeah, Man was in CLF for 6 months before I went back to Singapore for 2 years. So yeah,
I mean,
it's
that's
quite sad
another
to see Man
that,
left.
that's
That's another
another
story altogether.
yeah. I mean, but that's also another advertising legend, Man, who joined Silla,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
quite cool, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
also this piece of work, I'm showing the playground and the pool that was done by Dougie and with you, right?
yeah,
Tell us a
yeah,
bit more. After winning the LIA, and you were saying that you guys are trying to do more cooler and cooler stuff for
yeah.
Sony and getting.
So Dougie was a very very young art director at the time. He just joined straight from school. So they were very hungry. I mean, there's another guy called Paul from Paul Guidry. He's an American Malaysian and all that. Very good copywriter. So they're a very good team, and basically, just yeah, I mean, again, we always push the teams to do you know game-changing work, and I think this one is a very simple idea, and I think the only thing I did was basically just ask them to change the headline, which was the word since 1970, since 1990 something, and that's
That's
it.
the best
You know,
headline,
they
man.
had a long line, but I said no, let's just change the headline to something simple, and we won. I think it's silver for the campaign. Dougie and I went up to New York also to receive the prize. So again, it's I think after that, I think Dougie went beyond and I think did something good with McCann's, and now he's in Singapore with TBW also. So yeah,
Cool. And I'm going to
so I
show
mean,
this.
we had great people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing Sil Ad and Creative Juice and all that have been known as like having a young, really good young creative and uh,
yeah,
in the agency. Not even creative. Like there was amazing suits, amazing. Even finance
yeah.
people were quite cool. Like Lycat was a super character lah.
Like it is our CFO, our finance director, and a partner also.
Yeah, just
And I
don't
think
shake
he's
his
one of the
hands
most
lah.
creative. He's one of the most creative finance guy ever.
Yeah.
Very supportive of creative. Will actually spend the money for anything that's creative. So which is good. Love that guy.
I mean, it's
I
always
had my
important to have
battles with him.
it's important to have a finance guy who supports the
Yeah,
agency and trying to get the agency out
yeah,
there. And I remember
yeah,
Lycat was amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to show the Prey one. Tell us a bit about that because you're like a yeah. I mean, just look at the visuals. It's so not you, but it's so you. Tell us a
So
bit about that one.
yeah, this one is a bit. We wanted to be more controversial. I mean, with PSP you can do that. I think, and client are always encouraging. This one I think I did it with Nick Hua. Nick Hua was the one who basically sourced out those beats, and if you look closely, actually those are the symbols of PlayStation. It's very controversial, especially if you want to do it in Malaysia to do beats, create beats, and all that. So I thought it's almost like a religion, right, for PlayStation. It didn't get much. I think it got a bronze in Canchills, I think, locally. But it didn't do well internationally. I think also because at that time there was this huge surge of beautiful ads from the legend Eric Verhoeven.
Yeah,
He was winning all the PSP work, and it was like very difficult to basically
crazy
better his
crafted.
ideas.
Yeah,
It's one of
Matt
those things. Like,
Di.
it's and I met this guy. This guy is a crazy art director. I mean, he's so precise in every single. I mean, you look at the details; it's amazing.
Yeah,
And he brings his big portfolio bags, rather than digital stuff, to present to you, to showcase his work to us. And it's the details, the crafting it's
correct.
fantastic. Yeah.
So from Sony, we're going to move a little bit into Nissan. Just this one piece that was super famous, and I remember seeing this as well. And you have a funny story around this one, the mother trucker. I remember you told me where you got this idea.
Yeah. Okay, this one is it's. I mean, so Nissan is the other big client that we got after Sony. I mean, Sony was one of the biggest client. After that, Nissan came on board. It was also a very difficult journey. Nissan has always been very traditional with the Tanchong family and all that. So all the ads are very safe. So and this one basically they had a tough time selling this particular truck. It's a Navara. They came late in the market. It's a very huge, big truck, very expensive. So it's very difficult to fight. So we said, I have this much money, but I want to break into the market. So it was a tough sell. So we had to crack this idea. I think the team spent about a few weeks just to think about this. But I came back from, I think it's divine intervention, because I came back from my Friday prayers. Right, one day I went into the room. They were about to discuss this particular brief, and I said, "Guys, I got the idea." And I said, "What is it?" I said, let's call this the mother trucker, the mother of all trucks, right? Because it's big and everything, right? And they were like, "Okay, sir, you go and sell it to the client because we're not going to sell it to the client." So, and we did, and of course the client also was shocked. Christian was looking at me and says, "You know who my dad is? You know how difficult to sell this to my father and to the board itself. I mean, we're a very traditional Chinese company, but kudos to them. Basically, they managed to sell it, and the best thing is there's no car. It's black background. It's against all their so-called CI, and it's very taboo for them. But we managed to do it, and above this also, I think, and Joseph Anthony and all that, it was a CD then. We created a website which is almost like an interactive. So he had this dude, a mother trucker dude, trying to sell live on website. I think we were the first few to do like content ads for mother trucker on YouTube. It didn't pick up well, but at least we tried. And I think to this date, this term mother trucker is still being used amongst at least amongst the 4x4 community.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was a famous term that you all coined at that point.
Yeah.
I remember this even in the industry. You asked me to ask you about one thing, your anger management. So that was quite interesting, because when I worked with you, you were like the most zen person. But I've heard of your anger stories from people like Chun San and all that before. Tell us a bit about that. What's like the worst thing, the craziest thing you've done, and why, and how did you change that?
I've not changed.
But you were toned down. Like, I've heard stories of you.
I've toned down. Well, I think it comes and goes. I just hate stupidity, and if it's too apparent, I'll blow up. And especially if there's laziness plus stupidity combined together, and I'll blow up. Not just internally, I blow up to my clients also. I mean, I remember one particular client during a presentation and all that. I really literally, and that was quite recent, as in in the later years of my life, my advertising life, I blew up. I just stood up and said, you just wasted my time, right? I think I raised my voice and I walked out of the meeting. I told the guys, come pack up, just move up. This is useless. This client is useless, something like that. So I was really so angry, and when I'm angry, my hands shake, my voice breaks, and all that. So and I rarely get angry. But I mean, it's just one of those things that if it's just I'm just irritated, then I'll slowly try to walk away if I can. But if I can't control it, I'll blow it up. But it's very rare. I think yours Zagi and all that. Yes, I do blow up, right? But I would try not to as much as possible, right?
Yeah.
And those who went to my wrath, I mean, they will remember.
Okay, I was quite lucky. It didn't happen in my time, but I heard about it. And this is quite interesting, right? You spoke about telling clients, to just... I've heard from you, and I've seen it before in the agency. You're one of the first few bosses who we don't want to work with you anymore. You're not the right client for us. Tell us a bit about that.
I think I've fired a handful of clients. Just tell them off, or basically write a nice letter to them and say thank you very much. I think we'd rather resign from the account because I think we don't meet eye to eye. I think it's a waste of time and also demoralizing for the team if we continue with this client, because at the end of the day, it's the people that we want to keep, right? The team that basically works for it, and if it's not appreciated or it's basically it's badly treated and all that, I think we should part ways. And either I do it very aggressively, or to a nice nasty letter, which I will send to them, and I'll go back to Singapore. Right? So what I do is I send an email and I go back to Singapore during the weekend, and they cannot contact me. They will panic for a while and start to call me. But that's how I do it. And sometimes I'll meet up with the MD because I'll go right straight up to the C level and talk to them and say, hey, maybe this is it's nice to part, but doesn't mean it's goodbye. We can still work together, but maybe not now, right? And some of them do come back actually. Uh, they do come back, do a second round, sometimes a third round with them. But yeah, at the end of the day, we still keep a good relationship. But as long as we respect each other, I think we can actually part ways. We can actually sack the clients in other words,
I
right?
mean, that's quite cool. Like, I mean, you stand for something, and
Yeah,
you're right. You know, like it works both ways. If you're forcing something, and the client's also forcing on their side, it's not gonna do good work, and both of you
yeah,
are gonna
yeah,
suffer. So you might as well just
yeah,
make the
yeah,
call, and you work with someone you're comfortable with. We work with a
yeah,
client that we are comfortable
yeah,
with, and a lot of
yeah.
I see a lot of
So
agencies like also like force. They want the money, but they want to work with this client, even though the
yeah,
client kills the soul of the agency. You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Sony. I mean, I give a good example. Like say, Sony. They've been working for like close to 8 to 10 years with them, getting like almost 75% of the business, almost 90% of the business at one point. We actually fired the client because it was just new marketing team comes on board. I mean, there's a lot of changes within relationships and all that. So we decided to part ways, and that was like it's almost like 60% of Seal Ads business, right? And we decided to do that. It was the biggest decision of my life, and even with Like It, I said, Like It, we need to move on. And I think he was quite supportive. So that also made us to like, hey, let's look out for other clients. I'm sure there's better other clients that's out there to basically that require our services and all that. And we moved out of that comfort zone because we've been handling Sony for so while for a long while. And we moved out and basically we managed to pick up more clients and become who we are today.
And
It's
so this is a good segue, right? Like from SillAd, you're doing all the Sony stuff, you know, and then also like the Nissan Mother Trucker and all that. But then, how did Creative Juice come into play? Like, what happened?
okay. I think at that time TPW Malaysia was looking for an agency to partner. And basically at Silat we had Sony, we had Nissan, uh, we had a bit of at the time F1, um, and I think we had one more client, which basically what the TPW world has as a clientele. So we were like the correct fit. So they courted us and basically say, okay, fine. And I wanted to, again, my journey is always about changing challenges and all that. So now having what's next for Still at, right? So I told Lakat and at the time the chairman from Singapore, I said, look, let's try and partner with the big agencies. If they were willing to buy us up, then I want to see this journey. So we basically sold ourselves technically, right, to the TBLE group. We renamed ourselves under Creative Juice, the brand name, which basically is a very famous brand name out of Thailand, where Thirasak and his gang basically were doing fantastic work out of
Did
Asia,
you make
winning
the call
all.
to choose Creative Juice and not use TBWA, or what? Who made the call?
I think it was one of the it's from the board. So we didn't make a call. We just said, okay, it cannot be TBW because TBW Malaysia still exists, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't want to adopt TBW still, right? So and Creative Juice was coming up, right? So and they saw us almost like Creative Juice, at least from Malaysia. So hence, we adopted that name. So it became Creative Juice Still. Uh, and it was one of those things that okay, let's see where this marriage goes to, right? Uh,
I'm just
so
showing
we
a
quite,
whole
we quite
picture of the team, Creative Juice
I,
team. You know.
so we had a away day. I think we brought in Witawat and Tirasak. He came down, and I think we were up in Genting. So we had our own, Creative Juice T-shirts and all that. So a bit of bonding and all that, a bit of, putting certain vision and targets and all that. So I mean, all these people, I think they were the main foundation for the Creative Juice name. Um, Great people. They've moved on to better places, better agencies and all that. Great people. They are all hardworking people. I think that's the best thing about the people within, whether it's still art or creative juice.
And Saad, I'm gonna play this Nissan family, right? This spot as well, which I love. I've seen this a few times back then as well. Let me play that first, then we'll talk about it a bit more.
Nissan Grand Livina. Drives like a sedan, feels like an MPV.
I love the insight from that. Like it's so typical Malaysian kampung style. You know, people on the motorbike. 20 fellas will sit down there. You know, like the whole family's on the motorbike. And
so this was a discussion with a great team. I think we had a great guy called Nick Hua. He's been freelancing everywhere also. This was from Sachi. He came to the. I mean, he was quite a refreshing art director who came on board, and I think we were in part of the discussion. He came up with this thought, so we expanded on this. We got a great team from Reservoir. Chun San and his team basically helped me create a structure in terms of how to safely put 6 people on a bike and all that. I think clients saw it, bought it immediately. I think it's the most insightful campaign from Malaysia. Because it's a typical thing. We wanted to convert people from,
bike to
riding a normal car, right, to a bigger car, right. So, and this is the biggest and simplest idea that we can actually showcase, right. And at the same time, also, I think this spot, was, Jean-Marie Drew, which is the father of disruption, right. He saw this. He came to Malaysia. We played a few ads. He saw this ad. He said, "Sir, please play this again." So we repeated. He says, "Play this again." So we showed him twice. He said, "Play it again." So he showed him 3 times. He says, "I love this spot. This is what Nissan is all about." So we were like, "Wow, that's an honor from coming from him, like, to love this spot and all that." And I think it's also, within the Nissan group, they saw this as quite a beautiful ad. I think it's so apt for Malaysia. Actually, it's apt for Southeast Asia also.
Yeah. And I'm gonna jump straight from here. I'm gonna skip the Transformer one because I'm quite excited to show the Potong one, which I felt was like one of the best ads to come out of Malaysia, which was amazing. I remember seeing this when I was in the industry back in the days as well, and I thought it was just crazy, man. Again, you're talking about strong insights. The motorbike one, this one is another strong one lah.
Kali ni dia kahwin ramai lah.
Kau cakap macam ni ramai?
Mat.
Ya.
Kau dah potong belum?
Ha? Kau belum potong lagi? Kau biar betul, Zul. Astagfirullahaladzim. Malu aku lah kau ni.
Budak-budak sekarang ni tak nak potong ke?
Tak susah nak potong. Potong aja.
Abang, dah potong kan?
Of course.
Murah aja. Tok pun dah potong. Berbaloi. Berbaloi-baloi. Berbaloi-baloi.
Potong je lah.
Kau tunggu apa lagi? Potong je lah.
Potong wayar, potong kos, lebih pantas. B1 WiMAX, rangkaian broadband wireless terpantas.
And this one's crazy. I mean, if you don't know the context of this, potong always is termed with circumcision, but here you're making fun of it for the cutting the wires and going into Wi-Fi, right? Like, how hard was it to sell shit like this, Or how easy was it?
We went through almost 50 bots, I think. The team, I think we got rejected so many times. We really nearly lost hope. I mean, P1 is also almost like a startup at that time. They were fighting the bigger players of TM and Cellcom and all that, but they were trying to sell WiMAX, which is wireless. But they were a new player, so it's tough. So they were like trying to be an Apple at one point. So we had 2 clients, Michael Lai and CC Kwan, which is both sitting on top. So it was, and every day we get scolded by them and all that. So it was the toughest client. I think we were trying to really make a difference, especially for this particular client, because it's a tech client and all that. So, and I think in one of those brainstorms, I think the word "chot core," which is cut wire, it's about cutting wire, right? So in Cantonese, it sounds funny, "kot chor," right? So I said, "Hey, that sounds funny," right? So everyone started laughing and all that. And then, so what's let's hear it. Maybe it should do it in Malay. And then when you mentioned the word potong, then everyone started laughing. I said, guys, I think we have something here. So we developed a very simple script and all that. The next day we sold this immediately. The client bought it immediately. There's no second guessing in terms of, okay, let's change it. No, not at all. So we brought on board Bani Chua, and he really pushed it up again to another level. We had fun doing this spot, and I think it was a game changer for the telecommunication industry.
Yeah.
People were talking about, taxi drivers will talk about it. I think they still remember this campaign. And I think it got so big that we wanted to do more. I think the word that you mentioned, circumcision, about it. We wanted to do a post-event where we wanted to do a mass circumcision, and sponsored by P1. So those were things in mind. We had the Kompang boys who wanted to basically hijack weddings and all that, and basically do this potong song and all that. So these were like crazy ideas that were actually approved by client, but unfortunately the product itself did not deliver. I mean, we got a lot of subscriptions, and I think we went beyond their target. People were talking about it, raving about it, but the network just couldn't take it. That was the only thing. Yeah.
That was an interesting point, right? Like sometimes no great advertising can save if product that's failed or a product that's failing, right? You have to have a good product. If your ad is so good but your product cannot support, I think that's a imbalance as well. That's quite important.
Yeah.
And
it's always the case. Yeah.
Correct. I'm gonna play the other language one now.
Thế đi chạy à? Thì ngồi, cháu luôn cho. Chạy luôn? Chạy luôn đó, cháu luôn cho. Ôi tiêu hút sạch mà.
喂，我想問你一個問題。
問啊？
你割咗未？
你未割㗎？哇！你真係未割㗎？
我早都割咗啦。
割咗啊？又快又爽啲嘅。
我一早就割咗啦。
係咯，割咗係順啲嘅。我都割咗啦。
要唔要我幫你割啦？
佢未割㗎。
啊，會必得。
該你割咗佢啦，又平又正。
仲等乜嘢啊？
割咗夠快，割咗夠平，割咗就邊度都做到嘢。P1 WiMax 最快嘅無限寬屏網絡。
Again, as good as the Malay one, just as crazy as well. And I'm gonna jump into the next piece, which is the Kopi Extra, and we'll show that, and then we'll just talk about that. If you have any funny stories, lah.
Kopi Extra, bang?
Kopi lagi.
Bang, teh extra, bang? Atau Koko Extra, bang? Bang, semua pun boleh.
Airfred Extra dengan tokat Ali dan Ginseng.
Again, Saad, I have to tell you, for a person who's very pious and goes to, who always goes to pray, and you have Mother Trucker, you have Potong, you have this guy with 4 wives. This is just crazy, man. Like, where does it come from? Is it all stuck inside? You have to let it out in your ads.
It shows I have a dirty mind, right? No. I think it just comes in. I think at the end of the day, I think the Malay. I had this discussion with the strat team and TVW at one time. It's like it's all human in every human being. It's basically there's a bit of humor. There's a lot of humor in them, right? There's a lot of naughtiness in them, right? I don't say sex a lot. A lot of naughtiness
When
in
you
them.
said naughtiness, Ben's right person when you say naughty, lah.
And there's a lot of humanness in that. So at the end, we try to marry all those, especially in Malaysia, where technically it's they just want to be entertained, right? And if you look at all the movies, I think wrestling sells, right? Any romance film will sell, any hantu stories will sell.
Yeah.
So we try to combine all of those that are that will basically pull the Malaysian audience, especially the Malays, towards that. So I think we try to get into the insights. I think the insights of a local audience, the clarity of the message to come through. It can be simple, but they might not be clear. But what we need to do is make sure that it matches their insights, their lifestyle, so at least they understand this immediately without trying to figure out what are you trying to sell or what's the message behind this and all that. And the spot for FNN, I think, I always wanted to do something with four wives. The two things that I want to do: four wives and basically someone with a bunch of midgets, actually, so or dwarfs. But just a bit sensitive. But at least I managed to do something with four wives, and this was a perfect spot for it. For Potong, basically it comes naturally. We got into trouble for that. I mean, I had a lot of trouble with a lot of my campaigns and all that. So we had to really go out to the censorship board, appeal to them, talk to them. I think Alison knows about it, Chun-san knows about it. All the producers also has to go through hell trying to get approvals. But at the end of the day, it makes sense. I mean, there's nothing violent about it. There's nothing sexy or sexual about it. It's just a word like potong, right? If you have a dirty mind, then it becomes dirty. But potong is just a simple word, right? And it's fun. Right? At the end of the day, I think what communication is all about. I think we have to basically entertain them, get them understand what the product is all about to a very fun way. I think to me that's what I always look at it. I mean, if it's a fun and like you mentioned, if it's bodo or stupid, right? I love it better. Correct. Right? And see how far we can actually get it past the client and straight to the audience.
And start talking about potong. I'm going to potong you for a while now, and we're going to talk about this philosophy, right? Kill your inner chicken. When I came into the agency, I remember that was like your DMPs, and we sent this out to clients, and the agency stood for that, right? And we're getting into an interesting part now. Tell us a bit about, how did We Kill Chickens come into play? And I'm going to play the Nando's stuff. We're getting into Nando's now,
Yeah, I think advertising is all about that, right? Trying to be basically fearless in all our ideas. I think we need to basically, like they say, zig and zag and all that. So and basically keeps it fresh, right? So, and most of the time, even internally, we're quite safe in terms of our ideas. And once you go to clients even safer. And once you go to the management, it becomes, it gets. So what we need to do basically share this philosophy even internally and also externally to our clients. When we give DMs or we tell to our clients our philosophy, I think we want them also to adopt this idea that you as a client can be fearless. You can actually create ads or create communications that basically shock the world, because at the end of the day, that's what you need to.
When you shock the world and when you stand out, people start noticing you. And I remember being in Creative Juice, and that's what we tried to go out and sell to. Do something that you're uncomfortable with, do something that's very different. And I'm going to play this Nando's case study, and we won a gold Effies for this. And then we can get into the story of Nando's, right? Let me play this case study first.
When it comes to eating out, Malaysians are truly spoiled for choice. In order to stay on top of the consumers' minds, the big boys in the F&B category spends over 150 million ringgit a year. Since Nando's came to Malaysia in 1998, the Afro-Portuguese brand has made known its distinctive personality. But it was struggling to connect with the Malaysian heart and soul. So how do we make an Afro-Portuguese brand relevant to the locals? By creating loss-leading meal deals? Sponsoring concert tickets headlined by local artists? Spend a fortune on endorsement by a local celebrity? Guys, we've got peanuts for budget. Please be kind. Okay, since we were weak in terms of funds, we decided to leverage on our existing strength instead. Why not put some Malaysian flavor into our unique, cheeky voice? Let's Malaysianize Nando's. First, we had to identify what was Malaysian. We paid attention to local hot topics and observed the cultural references which are shared by the Malaysian community.
Pak Penang ni macam-macam ada. Nasi kandar, Pak Sempok, rasa Penang, Hokkien Mee.
Wei, ni lu tak nak sikit. Mai hari Elvi Farah apa nanti tulis sikit ya. Yang geng tu ya, Amani tu ya. Hari-hari saman. Keluar lori saman. Saman. Gaji pun habis lah. Tak payah kerja lah. Duduk dalam tengok TV lah.
要按摩嘛？啊，我不错嘞。那要不要中国的还是泰国？泰国要吗？啊，不要啊。菲律宾不错吗？啊， 还是你要本地的无所谓，本地的啊。
In major states where Nando's could be found, we put billboards that would nudge at the locals, customizing every Nando's billboard. So if one were to go on a road trip in Malaysia, they'd have a reason to smile all the way. Some billboards even became a hot topic among Malaysians. We referenced the Malaysian way of speaking.
Come and try lah. Others are so only. This is nice one. Marinated gao for 24 hours. Flame grilled terror, and even more shock.
We created social media content that would be relevant and exciting for Malaysian netizens. Whether it was about welcoming international acts, Malaysianizing April Fool's Day, making light of a particularly heated situation,
Insiden pelanggan KFC dikasari oleh kaki tangan restoran makanan segera itu di cawangannya di Shah Alam baru-baru ini jadi perhatian selepas ia tersebar melalui YouTube. Tidak lama selepas itu, Nando's, sebuah lagi restoran makanan berasaskan ayam, mengeluarkan satu iklan yang menyentuh perkara itu. Iklan itu menarik perhatian ramai.
or even showing support to a devastated Malaysian hero. And that's how we created a special bond between Malaysians and Nando's.
So Saad, tell us how did Nando's come about, like the creative juice, like how did that happen?
Actually, Nando's was with us earlier on, I think during CLAT days and all that. And actually Nando's fired us after 2 months. That was the first time. Nando's game was just launched in Malaysia. We pitched for the account. I think Jason was the marketing director at that time, and we were doing one campaign. Just after one campaign, within 2 months, we were fired, literally fired.
What was the reason? Why did you all get fired?
They think that we were not creative enough.
Okay.
I think that time we were also trying to play a lot of puns with Peri Peri and all that. So we were not into that brave mode yet. I think at the time we were very safe and all that. And I remember after 2 months we were like, what the hell, they just fired us like that. So, and 10 years after that, with the help of course with Judy. I think Judy handled Nando's in the initial days, and in the interweb period, with Dentsu, sort of reintroduced us to me, and that's where we started with them. So that 10-year break, we learned a lot. We sort of discovered that actually John Hunt from TWA Hunt Lascaris, they were doing great stuff for Nando's. So we had a very high benchmark to follow. So we were like, okay, how do we do this? So the first campaign, I think nearly got us fired also, because it was the General Kinako campaign.
I've seen the standees around the office.
Yeah, so that one was basically, it was also hitting up against the other colonel, because the general is better than colonel, right, or higher than colonel, something like that. So Star brought me in and said, you can't do this kind of ad. I said, why? Right. Then after that, there was some issue with our so-called digital company. They did a blackface. They didn't have an actual South African guy. We had a South African guy to basically pose as General Kinako. This guy sort of did a shortcut, right? So a bit controversial. We had to drop the campaign. Again, it was like short-lived, right? It was a huge campaign that we really prepared, but we had to basically stop it, right? So that was like, okay, oh no, we're gonna get fired again right after that. But I think, thank God, I think the like man, no, sir, let's do this. Let's do more such things. So we were like, game on. Let's do more crazy stuff. So the next one was basically we had a billboard campaign, and after with that billboard campaign, I think that was the first campaign that sort of made that people talk about Nando's, because the biggest billboard in Malaysia at that time, KL at that time, was in Bukit Bintang, and that's where we had that big headline called Di Sini Ada Banyak Ayam, right?
Yeah, I'm just showing it on the screen now. And
Yeah.
tell us about that, because this was super famous.
Yeah, because they had multiple billboards actually across KL and even across Malaysia, Peninsula and all that. So we were supposed to come up with a very localized campaign. So this was the first this billboard that we thought about. Initially, it was also rejected by the client, but we pushed on, and finally they said, okay, let's do it. And I think to everyone's surprise, it got approved by DBKL. Again, it's wordplay, right? So Di Sini Banyak Ayam, so it's quite innocent in a sense. But we're also talking about the fact that at the time, Bukit Bintang was quite famous with a lot of,
The other kind of
night
chickens.
activities,
Yeah.
the other kind of chickens and all that. So it was really spot on. People loved it. People were talking about it. At the time, not social media, but media itself were basically buzzing. So we did other ads in Malacca. We talked to Malaccans. I think in Penang we had the word Hocak, and that's it. So we even ran, I think, local ads or basically Chinese ads on billboards, which technically you're not supposed to do, right? You're supposed to do it in Bahasa. So we got away with that also. Again, with Nando's, we got away with a lot of things, and because of that, we became more localized. Although it comes from South Africa and all that, but we made it local, that people were accepting it, and we had tons and tons of supporters behind Nando's with all the so-called we had a lot of hijacks, right? Any social issues that come up, we do an immediate hijacks. We do campaigns around hijacks. We do real-time so-called advertising before real-time advertising became
Correct. So I'm putting some of the social hijacks. I'm just going to talk about this for a bit, right? So I remember the Ayam billboard that came out. Then after that, it was and this was before I joined, and you had a bit of that.
I had shown this, yeah.
Yeah, correct. So then you had before that the Punches one, the KFC one, and Joseph was still working with you, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, I joined, and we just did a lot of social media hijacks, like because the KFC one worked, but then I think it took to another level, and just whatever that people talked about in politics and all that, we would make fun of every time.
Yeah, we were on SMS. They weren't. At the time there was no WhatsApp, right? So everyone's on SMS, even client. So anything that pops up at night or in the evening, we were like, hey, there's something that we can write. So Joseph and Shun and all the writers were all on standby and the art directors were basically standby to basically do the ads. Immediately, it's done within 2 hours and it's out. So it's one of those things that it's amazing that we can churn things out fast and in a fun way. And I think for the Wee Chong Wee one, it's basically, I think it was during the Olympics, 2012 Olympics,
and he
together with
tweeted
the
at
Euro.
night,
So
right.
yeah, he tweeted at night. Quickly we came in, and I think everyone was watching the game, and he lost, right? But at the end of the day, like we say, 28 million. Basically, that's cool to us, right? So it's one of those writing. Again, we are the best writers in CJ. Who knows how to basically get everyone together, especially the Malaysians together. Very very localized kind of language. Again, it's clarity. They understood it immediately.
Correct.
For the World Cup, not World Cup, I think that was for Euro Cup. We made fun.
Correct.
Whatever results was that night, we made fun the next day. So it's a very, very real time in a sense.
And I remember this, right? We're still talking about Nando's now. I have one of my favorite Nando's campaign. This was after I joined you all, which was for me, was the Eat Like a Dato'. I'll just play that the radio ad right now.
Today at Nando's, we honor you for being you. It's okay if you've never won gold medals. It's okay if you have no special escort to escape heavy traffic. It's okay if no compound boys are around to give you a grand entrance. It's okay if you've never been to outer space. It's okay. No matter who you are, you deserve to feel like a big shot. Drop by Nando's and order the new butterfly chicken breast meal, the most premium cut there is for chicken breast, plus 2 sides. Who says you need to be a datuk to eat like one?
And I think this one was written by Mingy. I think it's so funny, like, we made fun of all the datuk ship, like you don't have to sail across the world, you don't have to win Olympic gold medal to eat like a datuk, and that was quite funny. And then from there we did the democracy platter. That was another funny one, Janji de Peri Peri. And then we had all that MCA.
That was crazy, I think. Yeah, we made fun of all the political parties in Malaysia, but in the Nandos way. We even had our little, walk on the streets, right, with our placards and all that. I remember Lycat, our finance guy, was also joined in. I joined in. I think we had fun walking the streets.
Correct.
Waving our placards and all that. I think that itself, I think Nandos, credit to the client. I think they were quite brave. I think again that's what the client is. They are a brave client to basically, agree and help us execute all these fun ideas. I think we had really fun doing that stint, really pushing it to the point that everyone, all the new clients who came to us and say, "Hey, I want you to do the Nandos for me." I said I can't. Yeah.
We did so many crazy stuff other than, I remember because then I joined when we did a lot of the social media work, and a lot of clients were like, "Hey, do the same thing for me," but we can't. But we ended up doing a lot of fun stuff. Like we had Cornetto, we did Ghost Stories, we did Sami Value.
At Tesco,
Tesco,
I love
Sami
that one.
Value.
I just watched it just now.
Yeah, it was so crazy, man. Like I remember going into presenting Sami Value to the clients, and they just laughed for 20 minutes, and we only had like one.
It's that kind of. I think it's those kind of words, right? The key words, right? Like mother trucker. Then you just say Sami Value, right? For your Tesco everyday prices kind of campaign. I think immediately client will understand. I think that's the gem, right? It's not about whole storyboard of a TVC and all that. I think it's that one big idea that is so insightful that immediately client will buy it. Immediately they know that the consumers will buy it also. So it's the kind of confidence that we have to build. Yeah.
And I had a funny story about joining you actually. So I came and freelance after BBDO for a bit, 2-3 months before I was going to Singapore, and then I went to Singapore for 6-7 months, and you would always ask me like, "Hey, come and join," And I remember telling you one time that I was not happy in Singapore, and you instantly came with your offer letter, and you're like, "Come, sign this, let's join," come back to KL, and work. And I think that was like the best decision I ever did, to come and join Creative Juice and join you, because you were an amazing mentor, and we won so much in that period. Like we did Nandos, we did a lot of the great work for Nandos, we did Sami Value, Cornetto, all those crazy stuff. We had shitloads of crazy stuff, right? And I think people were looking at us like, these guys are crazy, they're always coming up with crazy stuff. Like, why, like, it was quite funny, like the way you approached and wanted me to come back, and just being in there and being with you, and you being a mentor, and we've done a lot of crazy stuff. Like, how, like, did you think about it? Like, why keep offering me and like things like that? Like, why want me back?
Actually, I forgot how I
remember that. I remember that.
I can't. All I know is that I flew back to Singapore with you said offer letter. I was at that not Golden. You were in that Newton Circus area, right? That's where you were putting up. I went to your house or apartment. We chatted for a few hours outside outside the driveway, and I think I had the offer letter then.
Correct.
Saying, "Come join us, lah." I think for Creative Juice we're looking at again is that transition where we're expanding. So when expanding again, we need good thinkers, and again people who can actually be good mentors to the young team. Again, Creative Juice and Silat and all that, we had very young people. I cannot afford the superstars of the world, being an agency that size. So we were always looking out for young talent, and again, these young talent need the right motivation, the right leader to push them to the next level. And I think you helped that. I think Joe was there, you were there, so we were pushing again. At the same time, also under the brand team, also the Judys of the world, the Irenes of the world, Natashas of the world, they were actually pushing the team forward. I think they were inspiring to get the team. It was a very young team. I remember it's all of them. We were like almost like the training school for all the big boys, right? But I think those were the good times. I think it showed that actually the young talent are the future, and it's a matter of just molding them and making sure they do the right kind of thinking.
And you're right.
Like what Kai Ming always say, right? I always go to that field. Where's the feeling? There's no feeling. So they got that intuition right. They need to get that feeling right in their work.
And I remember when I came in,
like
you said, a lot of the young talent. There was amazing people like Kai Ming, Shun, Zin Yi, Joanne in the account servicing side. You know, like
Ming Yi,
amazing writer who had crazy ideas. I remember Siu Gun. You know, so many of them had they were all super talented, and they went off to do amazing things after that. You know, and I'm going to play this next piece of work. And I've got a story for that as well, because you nearly got fired after this work, and I think, but that's the kind of boss you were. You were the boss who always I remember you told me at that time, you're like, dude, just come in, do all the crazy stuff. Don't worry about getting into trouble. I will protect you if anything happens. Do crazy stuff. And for me, that was the best thing ever. And sorry, I didn't mention Mika as well. Another amazing art director, and she won her first medal with Kai Ming for the one of the Nando's piece as well. And again, back to the story, to have a boss to basically tell you that do your thing, I'll protect you, and just do crazy stuff. For me, that was an assurance, like a safety net, and not many bosses say that. That's a good thing as a boss to do. And this piece of work, actually, the story was, I'm going to play the happiest meal. So Zin Yi went for her creative, we had a TBWA group training, and they did this whole soup kitchen exercise, and she came back that night with an idea. And I remember her texting me, and I've got this idea. First I was making fun of it, but then after I was like, shit, actually it's quite a brilliant idea. So I told her let's, and I remember telling you as well, these guys, they've got something crazy, and we were like, let's do it in the next 28 hours or 48 hours. If not, we've lost the momentum. And I'm going to just play this video for now, and we can talk about the story after that.
Consumerism drives us to do crazy things. We queue up for hours, days, weeks, for gadgets, collectibles, or to catch a glimpse of a celebrity. We're blinded by the fad, which brings out the ugly side of it. It was this insanity that brought out the best in humanity. Happy Meals to happiest meals. Through no fault of McDonald's, we saw Malaysians rearing their ugly heads. We thought, what if we turned unwanted meals into the happiest meals? So we laid out boxes and put on brave smiles, waiting at spots where people could see us. Sure, there were those who didn't bother, but those who did gave with their hearts. And together we filled 70 empty bellies in the dim streets of KL. In the morning, we did it again. This time, there were over 100 meals for a children's home, where we laughed, played, and forgot our serious lives for a while. Our antics didn't go unnoticed. Within a day, our mini effort was in the papers, on TV, radio, and blogs. It took social media by storm. And best of all, it inspired Malaysians. In JB, Penang, Ipoh, Sabah, so many joined our cause, wanting to be a part of something good. What began as a simple idea became something Malaysians rallied around. It brought out the purest sense of kindness and helped us serve the happiest meals.
So this was for me one of the best things we all did as in Creative Juice, and it was powerful. Anything you want?
I remember getting a call at about 11 o'clock at night, and I think it was you. They said, "Hey, the team is going down to McDonald's now." So I said, "Hang on, I'll join you guys," because I was like, "Shit, I better." I think both of us were the only senior guys there.
Yeah.
and Shun. I think Shun was there. So we drove with Shun was with his truck. I had my car. So
I had
we
my
a
small
car.
Suzuki Swift.
So we went. I think the first pit stop was at Mount Kiara, right? The car was there.
We were in
So
the
we were
1MK office. Everybody's talking about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we just basically gathered there, collected the stuff. I told them, in my mind was like, okay, these guys are braver than me. I mean, talking about being brave and all that. These guys really knock it off the park. At the same time, so I was telling them, guys, please remember, make sure you can deliver it within 2 hours. Because again, I didn't want the food to go bad.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a bit of safety issue. I was trying to make sure that, okay, guys, we should take it and share it and give it to all the homeless people. And that's what we did. And there were tons of food.
Like 3
you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, and the girls were just delivering food without any caution. They're just delivering without, taking cautions and all that. But I said, be careful, because they might be aggressive, or even though they might be hungry and all that. But they were just going there willingly and just giving the food away. And I think that it showcased the human side of the team actually, and it went viral so fast, right? I think the next day, people were talking about it. The news, and the media guys were picking it up, and I think it was a wonderful feeling. I think the energy was. I remember it was up to 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. The next day they went out again, immediately to collect breakfast meals and all that. So the energy was high, right? So they were quite spirited. They wanted to do it the next week because every Thursday that's where the minions are being launched.
Yeah.
So they planned for a website, they planned for collection points, and all that, and the what call it, to whom they would share the items with and all that. And through that weekend, then I got a call from the higher ups, right?
Yeah.
Saying that, love what you're doing, but please put a stop to it, right? I won't mention names, but because I think that it was quite sensitive at that time because globally,
it was a global client, and they had
it was
some
a global
trouble
client.
in
McDonald's was a
Europe.
global client.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any trouble in Malaysia
Oh, I see.
will
They're
definitely
talking about
lead up.
trouble. Elric is actually here watching us. He said hi.
You should have mentioned names. But I think it's good that it happened because it's a lot of learnings. To me, there's always a reason why things happen this way. And globally they were like saying should be done because it's not Malaysia office is not supporting this and all that. But at the same time, we thought it was just it's a good thing to do, right? And we had a website up. I was told to put it down. We had a Facebook up. I was told to put it down and all that. So right, I nearly got fired for this, but we had to put a stop to it. Thank God that was the last journey or the last cycle for that Minion toy. So it ended well in that sense.
Yeah, I
But
remember
people were like,
when they asked us to stop it, we actually stopped it, but people started doing on themselves, by
Yeah,
themselves,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
just became like a movement that people started doing, and then we couldn't stop it because people started doing
that's
it.
the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
It shows that there's wastage on one side and there's also suffering on one side. So this is one way to basically balance the two, and I'm glad that we started that. I think Zini and team and all that, Mika, kudos to you to think of such an idea.
Ulrich was
I'm
saying
glad
it was a good campaign, but wrong timing lah. And this was funny, because I remember you told me like, oh shit, they're flying down, they're gonna fire me. And I was like, fuck them, fuck it, I'll get fired as well, I don't care, if you go, I'll go as well, But then after a year, the brand actually came back. Somebody saying the brand, like Alfie Jane saying, the brand should have just gone along with it. But interesting story. After a year of having problems with them, they came back to us to work on a campaign.
Yeah. We pitched for it and we got a piece of the business out of Lebanon at the time.
And this was amazing.
It was kind of strange.
I remember both of us went in for the presentation and we played one of the thoughts. So the thoughts was around. It was again for a Happy Meal. coincidentally. And funny thing was, our whole inside was Tough Love, and we wanted to talk about Tough Love, but we used Rasa Sayang and we played that track. We composed the track and we played, and I think Nisha and the team worked on this, and
my daughter worked on it.
Correct, and she was there interning with us. You probably didn't pay her then; she works for free. Because I remember her drawing all the boxes and all that. And we played this in the presentation, and I think 1 or 2 clients actually nearly cried in the presentation. And I'm going to play the film which was shot by Iskandar at the end. But this campaign, amazing, pretty cool, you know. I was just super proud, you know, from losing, getting into big trouble, and then coming back after a year. The client hired us to work on this big campaign, and you know, clients from McDonald's back then, even until now, they used to say this was like their turning point for them, because before that they were just doing fries and burgers being thrown around, and then suddenly we did something totally emotional.
And now they're more localized also. I think
correct.
That was also the turning
this
point
was the turning point for that. And I remember David Loke shot amazing, beautiful photography for the ads and stuff like that. Let me play the ad first. Yeah.
Sometimes we're tough, sometimes we're tender, and sometimes we show it with a happy meal. However you show it, it's still Rasa Sayang.
Yeah, so that was the Rasa Sayang campaign for Happy Meal.
Yeah.
And it did really well, like we spoke about and stuff like that. So guys, anyone who's live, anybody who has questions, just ask, comment on the side. We will pick up 2 or 3 questions. Tell us, like, just while people are coming in with questions and stuff like that, like advice to the young ones, you know, like what kind of advice can you give to young creatives now, you know, like all those who worked with us before, you know, what kind of advice do you want to give to creatives nowadays, or just agency people?
I think advertising space has changed a lot, so at the end of the day, it goes back to passion again, whether it's going to be same old advertising style, or whether it's going to be digital, or whether it's going to be TikTok and all that. It all goes back to passion, right? You have to understand the medium, at the same time also what's the idea behind it. I think it's all about, I love the word that, I think Man loves to use this word, try like, just try, right? I think it's about that. It's not about giving up. It's about, let's do it, you know. If it's no harm not doing it, right? So it's you need to have that passion to want to try and fail. So you try and fail until it becomes, until you get used to the whole thing. You know that what doesn't work and what works and all that. So you really have to push yourself. I mean, whether it's from the young creators or even, you know, people who are pivoting in terms of in their careers and all that. At the end of the day, I think you shouldn't give up hope. Just chase that dream. I think it's always there. It's a matter of being very patient, very resilient. You need to be very resilient. People will be knocking you down all the time. I mean, I think just think of yourself like an underdog, right? I mean, that's what I've always been with me. I've always been like fighting against the biggest guys out there, right? And we try to win, right? And you don't give up. At the end of the day, just don't give up. You just try, experiment, fail, try, experiment again, learn new things. I think you need to always change it up. You need to basically evolve. You shouldn't stop learning also. To me, I'm still learning. I'm still going back to my illustration days, learning new apps and all that. I think it's now the means of creating an output or executing it is easy. I mean, there's a lot of apps that's making it easy, but it's about whether you are determined or not, or whether you want to actually pick up that stylus or pick up that pen to basically write that particular novel or right? I'll paint that particular illustration and all that. I'll pick up a camera and shoot that piece of image and all that. So don't give up as long as you feel that it's in you. Just go for it, right?
And just like Man said, try. And then I have this philosophy as well, like just whack only, just simply do. If you don't put out things, you'd never know. You got to feel first, and then you find out how to make things better. So we got some interesting questions on the side. I'm going to read it out to you. Start. Have you done any ads with cats? You've done with 4 Wives.
Actually,
you've done with no cats. Okay, next one.
Cats. I've not done. Cats.
Next question.
I can't remember
cats?
much.
No, I don't remember anything. But next question. Jovi Low. What does Saad think about Vijay's fashion sense? Funny one. Funny fella, huh? Jovi? Hey,
I love it. I mean, it's just Vijay lah. I think as long as Vijay is comfortable, I think I would love it.
You wear what you like, man. Like,
of course, I love his shoes lah.
Yeah. So I infected Saad with after that to buy a lot of shoes as well. And then after me wearing skinny jeans, Benson started wearing skinny jeans as well.
G-Star.
From Dougie, it's after 9. Saad should tell a joke.
Oh no.
One of your
that
bad
part
ones.
of me, I think, died.
Oh man.
I think that part of me, the back pants have died. Has gone away.
This one's interesting.
I think people talk about pranks, right?
That's so. This one's interesting. What's the difference in relationship between Suits and creatives then and now?
There's no. I think it's how the agency, or basically how we run the agency, right? So I think for Silat and Creative Juice and even TVLA, we try to basically break down the walls. The suit will basically sit next to a creative, so it's no longer a department kind of thing. So we try to share the workload or share the stress also with the creatives and with the suits, because at the end of the day, it's a teamwork thing rather than a creative department versus a brand team or versus a suit. We try to basically melt everything together and work as a team. Even with the Dispatch boys, I remember one time I did a radio commercial with a bunch of Dispatch. I got him to say, bring all your kaki, all your mottos and all that. I want them to record live their reaction when they see this particular boombox. I think a Sony boombox, and we recorded that commercial live with their reaction, and that was a commercial. I don't know whether Alison remembered that. I think we recorded, and I think that's way before Alison's line. So that's the kind of thing that we experiment, right? So there's no. We try to have no division between creatives and the suits, because we want the idea to be part of the team rather than it's a creative idea.
Correct.
It is the agency's idea, and we as the agency will sell it to the client and becomes the brand idea.
So another question here was also, what's the greatest prank you ever pulled?
I've pulled a lot of pranks. I think the biggest one involved, I think, almost 6 people at one time who got pranked. And I got Judy involved, I think Joseph Anthony involved, and even I think Irene Ho involved. Because at that time, there was talks that we might be losing P1. So I pranked the team, the P1 team, saying that, guys, so we prepared letters. We had Cindy, who was the HR, we had prepared letters, blank letters actually, and brought in the team and say, guys, I have bad news to tell you guys, so and basically gave these so-called letters to them. They got shocked. I think Zaril almost wanted to punch me.
Zaril's always angry.
Yeah.
This one's an interesting one as well. What made you decide to step out of the industry, and what with that amount of passion and it's creative? As creatives, we never stop. I don't think you've stepped out of the industry. You've moved.
I've never stopped.
You're always.
I moved countries. I moved countries. So basically, I had to get back to Singapore to be closer to my family again. But the creative streak is still in me. I'm doing other things. I'm doing other forms with Pixurf now, doing more into photography. I'm also still doing editing, doing some videos with my kids and all that, doing some illustration. So there's still that creative streak in me. I won't lose that. I'm doing also because I'm branding for startups also.
Okay, so this is a funny one. Yiling, boss, share your skin care secret, please.
What?
A lot of people ask about this.
What's up? They say I'm blushing. I think I am. Must be the lighting.
A question from another great creative of ours, Lay. How do you start an agency?
Don't.
Don't. That's a good answer.
I think you should start a kind of startup. Not just another agency to support a brand, right? I think you should be your own brand and do something. Especially Lay, I mean, you're into digital and all that. I'm sure with tech and all that, you can do something amazing. Go into that space. I think there's a lot of things that the world requires, especially now with this so-called post-COVID thing that we're going through. Tech will be very important. So I don't start an agency. If you're going to start an agency, maybe
I think do something different, like you said, right? Be different.
Something different.
You said, people need something. People need something, but you need to be different.
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing a tech company even. There's so many apps, there's so many startups. What makes you different? Which part of your life that you can solve a problem in your life that you can
solve the biggest problem now. I think that's key.
I mean, if you look at Zoom, what Zoom, all the video call guys are doing so well now. Market shares are up, but what else can you do? There's another interesting one from Fur, again, another one of our ex-creatives. What have you learned over the years that you would advise, tell, or share with your much younger self?
I think you have to eat wise and keep fit. I think I did take care of myself when I was younger. So I think for all of you also, I think being physically fit is very important, especially you, Vijay. I think watching your diet, because I think it helps. I think it helps in terms of planning the day ahead and all that, and also pushing through in terms of whatever jobs that you have or whatever stress and all that. I think I did not spend enough time keeping myself fit and eating right. I think I was on my own. I just eat late and all that. So in terms of work, I think.
Last piece, right? I think it's wait. Let me. There's a bunch of people still asking questions. We got to end soon. We'll try to answer on the comment page on Facebook after this. And so Karen De Silva says, Saad, you're truly a humbling star. Respect. And for me, I wanted to end with that. Because Saad, you've done a lot for a lot of people's careers. Right, and especially for someone like me, I was nobody when I went there to Creative Juice, and I wasn't famous. I didn't win a lot of awards, but then after joining you and working with you, because I had a mentor and a boss like you, and I did very well. And I wanted to say thank you, and I've always said this out, like you were one of my greatest mentors, and I wanted to thank you. I'll keep thanking you even until the end, and you've done a lot for my career, and you've done a lot for other people's careers as well. And to have a boss like you, we're lucky because you're behind us, you teach us, you stay behind the scenes, and you push us and propel us to the next level. And I think that's for me something that I learned and I put to my team as well. And when I work now that I'm a boss as well, so I've learned how to be a good boss from you, and I wanted to say thank you, and how all of us, those who worked with you, super appreciate, because you've done so much for us.
Okay, now I'm blushing. I think it goes back to the people, and I think I hired the right people. You guys knew what to do. I just need to push the right buttons, and I think at the end of the day, it's about the culture, right? So getting the right people, the mixture of different age group, different experiences, it helps because the culture is very important for any agency or any working environment. The more fun it is, I think the better is the response and the work itself, because people are willing to work and come back to work, stay late and all that, because everyone is basically helping each other. I think the biggest reward is always Christmas Day, where our Christmas parties. I think our Christmas tree has the biggest amount of presents ever. I think I've never seen anywhere. So, and it shows because everyone's giving everyone a Christmas gift. Although it's a what I call it, secret Santa. They're supposed to give one gift. I think that the Christmas, actually the spirit of the agency is there. I think that's very important. Wherever we go, I think if you keep that up, then you become that right. Hopefully, that the right kind of leader. You become the right kind of mentor, because it rubs off back to me, because I'm also inspired and basically trying to make everyone, motivated. It motivates me at the end of the day. And to see you, Vijay, I remember a young lady called Vivian Lin. Vivian, I can't remember her. She's now known as Yasmin. She was at the time still at. I think she was a designer back then, and she was like a FA artist, and she moved up to leather, and she was an account director for Petronas, I think, in Leo Burnett. I think she was one of the top suit in Leo Burnett. Well, at least maybe the last 5. I think she left away, but I think she went up that way. So again, I think there's a lot of success stories within Silat, Creative Jewels, Digdale itself. I owe it to having the right culture, and you guys also helped me to basically bring out the best in me. And I think, you guys, I wish you all of you success, especially those guys who are in Shanghai and all that. Those guys are really killing it, and right, that little time that I spent with you guys, I think I'm appreciating that where you guys are at now. I mean, seriously, yeah. And I heard about Yiping also, the Yiping story you told me. Amazing.
Yeah, he's doing well. Like he's got a startup now.
Well. Yeah.
I think everybody's doing their own thing. I think we've all learned and from you, and learned from each other, like you said as well. And we've just pushed all our work, and we're all doing well because of bosses like you. And we hope that we'll always have bosses like you, and hopefully we aspire to be bosses like that as well. To push our guys to the next level, and always stand behind them. And let them experiment, let them do different things. I think that's something that we have to do for the next generation. And so thank you so much, Saad, for coming on and talking.
Thank you for having me
for an hour and a half. And we had amazing stories, and we did so much crazy stuff, fun stuff. You were always, I got you into trouble so many times with all kind of crazy stuff that I used to do, and but we won a lot.
I got calls from. I remember I got calls from Paris about one of your campaigns. I was holiday in Paris, and you troubled me with this particular. I think I got a call from Aaron Nakawi. I was like, shit,
I remember. I think it was the reverse brief one, maybe.
I think that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Yeah.
I mean, for me, that time was like, if you don't stand out, if you don't stand for something, then you don't need to be in advertising, or you don't need to be in this industry, or you're not creative if you don't stand for something. It gets you into trouble. I mean, look at all the artists or the people who made a difference. Like they stood for something. I think that's important. And thank you so much for being on the show. And also, like I said earlier, you've done a lot for a lot of people's careers, especially me. Thank you for that as well. And hope to see you after the circuit breaker ends. And we'll go for a banana leaf meal with maybe Edmund Cho.
Banana leaf. Yeah. Ganja.
For sure. Thank you so much. And
Gandhi, sorry.
Gandhi's, yeah. Thank you so much, Saad. I'm going to end the call now. And guys, thank you for tuning in. That's Saad, my ex-boss and my ex-mentor. We've done a lot of crazy stuff together. Such an amazing leader, such an amazing boss. I've learned so much from him, a bit of my career. I've also modeled and learned a bit from him as well. I think just standing behind, experimenting, being different, doing new things, that's one thing. And the others, always as a leader, stand behind your team, like let them experiment, find their voice, and learn for themselves, like things like that I learned from Saad that I inject into how I train my next generation as well. And thank you so much for tuning in. In the next 2 weeks, we have interesting guests. Next week, we will have Piotr, or as many call him, the ex-CMO of Gojek. And then the week after, I have another mentor, Brian Capel, who's agreed to come on, talking about his career and moving to Indonesia as well. So next 2 weeks, a bit about Indonesia as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Fucking podcast.